Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lawndale City Council meeting. I'm going to ask the city clerk to give a reading.
I think you're muted.
This is Greg Murphy. If we could ask everyone other than the council and the city clerk who's currently trying to call roll to please go off camera to save bandwidth. You'll be coming on camera when it's time for you to address your item.
Okay. All right. All right, one more time. Mayor Pro Tem Austin Gorman.
Here.
Councilmember Cuevas.
Present.
Councilmember Suarez.
Here.
Councilmember Kearney.
Yeah.
Mayor Poland Miles.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. The Pledge of Allegiance will be held by Councilwoman Cuevas, and Pastor Jimmy Orellana from Calvary Chapel Church will lead us in a word of inspiration.
Please stand, face a flag or an imaginary, or your screen. There's a flag there. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for Pastor's words.
Welcome, Pastor Orellana.
Thank you, City of Lawndale, for the privilege of allowing me to be on tonight with you guys. It is always an honor. And we want to go ahead and pray for your City Council meeting tonight. The word of the Lord says in Mark 3:25, if a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Lord, we come before you tonight, Heavenly Father, and I do want to lift up this amazing City Council to you. God, I pray for the mayor, for the City Council, and for everyone that is involved in this city in any capacity. God, that you would be with them and continue to lead them every step of the way in what you've called them to do in leading the City of Lawndale forward. Lord, we ask that a spirit of unity would fall upon this city, that this city would be that city on a hill that cannot be hidden. So I pray once again for the City Council, every family member. Lord, be with them, we pray. Lord, secondly, I want to pray for the City of Lawndale just for its safety, Lord, for its streets, for any projects that the city has going on, and Lord, for how this city continues to move forward in the midst of all that we've been through. Lord, I thank you that you've allowed them to be strong and to continue to stand strong and move forward. You know, they've done much, yet there's much to be done. And Lord, I pray that you would remind them that through their weakness, if they call out to you, your strength is always made perfect. Lastly, I pray for the City Council meeting tonight, that it would be productive, Lord, and that whatever they have in their agenda, whatever goals they have, Lord, those goals would be reached. Be with them. Once again, we pray. We thank you for tonight. Lord, continue to be with this great city. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen.
All right. Thank you, Pastor, for those wonderful and beautiful words of inspiration. We thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you. God bless. Okay, next on our agenda is the hardest working assessor in the state of California. LA County Assessor Jeff Prang has joined us today for a presentation. I'm going to ask the Madam City Clerk to read into the record his bio, and then we'll bring on the Honorable County Assessor Jeff Prang.
Okay. Los Angeles County Assessor Jeff Prang was elected in 2014 as the 27th Assessor for the County of Los Angeles and re-elected in 2018. Raised in Warren, Michigan, Assessor Prang is a graduate of Michigan State University. After graduating, Mr. Prang relocated to California, where he served nearly 18 years as a council member for the city of West Hollywood, including 4 terms as mayor, among many other positions in the public sector. Upon taking office in 2014 as the Los Angeles County Assessor, Mr. Prang implemented sweeping reforms to ensure that the strictest ethical guidelines rooted in fairness, accuracy, and integrity would be adhered to in his office. Assessor Prang is a State Board of Equalization licensed appraiser, lives in Baldwin Hills with his husband Ray, and is a frequent guest lecturer at local colleges and universities. Please welcome Assessor Jeff Prang.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to be here to share a few minutes of your time. I know you have a very busy meeting, so I'll try to be as quick as I can. But I do have some information that I think will be beneficial to you and to your constituents. I've known a few of you for quite a while, and you've probably heard me repeat and often that despite popular belief, I am not the guy who collects taxes. That's the tax collector who does that. The assessor appraises the value of property, but we are not involved with either setting rates or collections. As the assessor, I'm responsible for valuing all taxable property, which includes land and buildings, in addition to assessing the value of what's known as business personal property, which includes furniture, equipment, and machinery, although it also includes aircraft, mobile homes, boats, and believe it or not even racehorses. That being said, I oversee the largest local property assessment agency in the United States. We're responsible for valuing over 2.5 million real property parcels and business assessments each year. I'm one of 3 countywide elected officials. Everybody knows the other 2. Nobody knows me. The other 2 are the sheriff and the DA. So at the end of this past year, each year, my office publishes our annual report. The annual report includes a number of resources and information about our annual assessment roll. And the assessment roll is essentially the inventory of all property values in the county. And this year, the annual assessment roll represents the 11th consecutive year of property value growth countywide. Property values grew by a total of $63 billion year over year. That's a 3.7% increase for the county over the previous year. And the total assessed value of all taxable property in the county for 2021 was more than $1.7 trillion and generated over $17 billion in property tax revenue, which, as you know, is allocated to local governments such as the city of Lawndale, school districts, roads, hospitals, libraries, everything that we rely on for basic public services. To give you an idea of what's going on in the local market for Lawndale, I've included a table that displays property value growth percentages and parcel counts for Lawndale and some of the neighboring communities, as well as for the whole county. And as you can see, Lawndale is trending a little bit higher than some of your neighbors, as well as the county as a whole. The total assessed value of taxable property in Lawndale is valued over $2.7 billion. That's the assessed value, so as you can imagine, that the market value is considerably higher. As I mentioned earlier, this data is in our 2001 annual report, which is available online. In addition, there's a lot of other helpful resource pages, including inheritance and property-based transfers that are allowed under the new Proposition 19. And feel free to share these resources with your residents, and my staff will present an electronic version of the report to you after the presentation. It's also probably no news to you that the housing market in LA County experienced a year or 2 years under COVID of record high increases. Housing prices increased so much that $1 million homes have become the norm in more than 50 communities throughout the county. Last month, the median sales price for a single-family home, not including condominiums, in Lawndale rose to $715,000. This is an increase of almost 13% for the same time last year. Our data indicates, seems to suggest that these prices will remain high, but it looks like the steep increases may have been left behind in 2021, and while they will still increase, not as fast of a clip. Here's another chart which shows the median sales price of homes in Lawndale and some neighboring cities, and the percentage year-over-year growth in those property values. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the homeowner's exemption. My office manages a number of programs to help people save money on their property taxes. Programs for seniors, veterans, the disabled, for nonprofits. In fact, last year we saved property owners about $650 million in property taxes. But the one that's easiest for people to access is the homeowner's exemption. If you don't know much about this exemption, it reduces your property assessment by $7,000 annually, which will save you about $70 on your property taxes. I know it's not a lot, but if you're on a fixed income or been unemployed, any type of savings is helpful. The only qualification to get this tax savings is that you own your home and occupy it as your principal place of residence as of January 1st. The deadline to receive the full exemption for the year is February 15th, which is coming up in just within the next few days. In Lawndale, we estimate that over 31% of eligible homeowners have not claimed the homeowner's exemption. And the primary reason is because they simply don't know that it's available to them. And that's one of the reasons I'm hoping that we can work together to get to those hundreds of homeowners who would benefit by these tax savings. It's a one-time application. The savings renew automatically until there's a change in ownership. It's easy to apply. The homeowner's exemption is available on our website. Just need to print it out and mail it in. So we've created an array of resources for various topics, from the various types of tax savings that are available to other types of calculators that might tell you what your property tax will be if you're selling your home and buying a new one. If you think that you need any additional resources to highlight, please let us know. We'd be happy to work with you to ensure that property owners in Lawndale get all the information they need to successfully navigate the property tax system. I also want to encourage anybody who's interested, who owns property, I encourage you to sign up for our newsletter. We send out a very informative monthly newsletter that will tell you, give you helpful tips on owning property and dealing with your property assessment and property tax related matters. That's my quick report for this evening. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you and to your community. I'm happy to take questions if that's appropriate. But again, I thank you. It's great to be with all of you, my friends in the great city of Lawndale.
Assessor Prang, thank you for the information, the valuable information you shared with us. And thank you for all your hard work of being the greatest assessor in the state of California. We know the county assessor's office is one of those, as you said, and I didn't want to steal your thunder about not being a tax collector, because I've heard you mention that several times. So I wanted you to share that you're not the tax collector. It's okay. We can be, we can let our hair down, so to speak, not the tax collector. But thank you for all that you have done for our community and for your office. Your office is always accessible to the public. People think that the assessor's office is one of those bureaucratic offices that you can't get in touch with. Your folks are always out in the field. And I have to tell you that prior to your election, I've never really seen any assessors, people out in the field. And so I would really appreciate that your deputies out there in the field. So let's see if there's any comments from the council.
Thank you, Mayor.
I think there's two hands up, Robert.
Yep, I see two hands up. I see Councilwoman Suarez hands up, and let's go with Councilwoman Suarez.
Thank you. Thank you for attending our meeting. I did have a quick question. So for the exemption, are you able to apply for it online? I'm not a homeowner, and as you can see, the prices keep going up, hopefully soon. But, just know if that's an option for people.
It's not yet. You can go online. There's a fillable form you can print out. Unfortunately, we still require a wet signature, so it does require that it be printed out and mailed in. Although I can tell you, we've been investing significantly in our technology in the assessor's office. I think within the next 18 months, You should be able to do an electronic signature and do it online, but at least in the short term, it still requires that that form be printed out and mailed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Councilman McKern.
2 questions for you, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
On the rebate, $70 or $700 a year, can you still use that with you have Prop 13 on your property? Can
Oh, yeah. Well, just one point of clarification. Everybody has Prop 13 on their property. Yes, it's you live there as of live there. That's the fiscal residence.
Okay. The second question is, I got an email from your office today that you're opening up your offices now.
We have closed our public counters for the last 2 weeks with the spike due to Omicron, but we are because the numbers have reduced so dramatically the last week. We're reopening those, so people can feel free to go back to our offices in Signal Hill or downtown or South El Monte.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Prang, thank you once again for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your work.
Mayor,
we have another one?
yes, really
ma'am.
quick. Are you able to send us the information so we could put it on our social media and send it out to homeowners in the area?
We have a whole list of things that we can do to work with your city administration to promote the homeowners exemption, whether it be through your newsletters, through social media. There's some cities that even actually mailed the homeowners exemption to all the qualified homeowners in the city. Whatever it is that you need from us, we will provide. And Michelle Chambers is on the line, and she'll be happy to work with your staff to help promote that in Lawndale.
Sounds great. And how long has this been going on? Because I'm newly to the council, but this is the first time I heard of this exemption.
The exemption's been in place since the early 1970s, which is probably why it's so low. It needs to be updated. The challenge is, as the mayor said, is that assessors have been somewhat obscure over the years, and there's a lot of programs that we make available to help people save taxes on, but people just don't know about it. So that's one of the reasons I'm here tonight, is to share this information and kind of piggyback on your good relationship with our mutual constituents to get them this valuable information.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions? Okay. Shirley, okay, there we go. All right.
Right.
For some reason, I want to keep calling you Professor Prang.
Thank you, Mayor.
Prang, thank you once again for all your hard work and your commitment to our community. Thank you for being here tonight.
My pleasure. You guys have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, sorry for those folks for my technical difficulties. My computer crashed, in case people was wondering what was going on with me. Okay, let's have our public safety report. There we go.
How you guys doing?
Richard Osborne, thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the members of the City Council. I'm here tonight to give you the public safety report for January 18th through February 6th of 2022.
Okay.
On January 29th, about 8:30 p.m., Deputy Vasquez conducted a traffic stop near 2410 Marine Avenue and discovered the driver was in possession of an unregistered firearm, rock cocaine, crystal methamphetamines, and Xanax pills. The driver was arrested and booked at South LA Station for carrying an unregistered firearm and possession of controlled substances. On January 31st, at approximately 7:25 in the morning, Deputy Dominguez conducted a traffic stop near Inglewood Avenue and Marine Avenue and discovered the driver was in possession of an unregistered firearm, a 9mm Glock, and ecstasy pills. The driver was arrested and booked at South Los Angeles Station for carrying an unregistered firearm by a convicted felon in possession of a controlled substance. And this is a update on a homicide that took place about a year ago. On February 2nd, at approximately 7 p.m., homicide detectives located and arrested a minor regarding the murder of Samuel Enriquez that occurred in the city of Lawndale on July 19, 2021 at 1:20 p.m. on 167th Street. The subject appeared in Inglewood Juvenile Court on Friday the 4th, and he pled not guilty, and he was held waiting trial. This concludes my report. I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have of me.
Okay, are there any questions of the sergeant's report? Okay, Sergeant, thank you so much, Sergeant, for that report.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. All righty, let's move on to oral communications. Item 9, oral communication. Madam City Clerk, are there any or people waiting to do oral communications? Do we have any takers tonight?
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So everyone, to provide a public comment, please select the raise hand feature. For the call-in participants, press *5, then *6 to raise hand and unmute. Once your hand is raised and you are queued to speak, you will be granted access to unmute and turn your camera on, and you have 3 minutes for a comment. We have Michelle Pino from the Lawndale Library. One second.
Okay, thank you. Michelle Pino.
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Michelle Pino, and I am taking over Jessica Romero's place at Lawndale Library. So I will be the new manager at the library. I'm very excited and looking forward to meeting and serving this community. I would also like to invite you to visit Lawndale Library to take advantage of all of our services. Right now, we're currently in partnership with Department of Public Health. We are conducting the PCR COVID tests. It's open for anyone interested, and the process is very simple. You just, I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's a canopy outside the library. So that's where it is taking place. So like I said, the process is very simple. You just go, you pick up a test, and you drop it off with one of the Department of Public Health staff, and you do get your results within 24 to 48 hours. And we do want to remind everyone that please do not put it in our book drop or hand it out to library staff. Please give it to the Department of Public Health. They will take it for you, and they'll give you instructions of what you have to do. Also, when you pick it up, they'll tell you all the instructions that you need to know. Okay, we're continuing with offering virtual programming for all ages. We do have our activity kits that you can pick up at the library, and it's a first come, first serve. We also, we're offering laptop kits, and it includes a Wi-Fi. They tend to go out a lot, so anybody interested, please make sure you put one on hold if we don't have one available at the library. And let's see what else is on my list to let you guys know. Oh, we are very happy to announce that we are getting slowly but surely, families are coming back to the library. So that is very nice to see happening right now. At first it was just individuals and adults going in and leaving right away, but right now it's the families visiting the library has been increasing. So that's all I have to share for you right now. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Okay, thank you for that report. We'll provide a few questions right after everyone had the opportunity to provide some public comments. But thank you, Michelle.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Let's hear from our next speaker.
Thank you. We have Randall Abram.
Mr. Abel.
One second.
Is it working? Yeah, it's working.
Is the speaker muted? I can't hear anything.
They're working out.
Hello?
Randall, are you there?
I lost my connection. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
Go
ready.
ahead.
You guys
Go ahead, sir.
You hear me?
Yeah, go
Can you hear
ahead.
me okay now?
Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
Randall Abram, Lawndale resident. It was not that long ago that Lawndale conducted an online survey as to whether the city should allow the sale of safe and sane fireworks. The majority of those that responded did not want the sale of safe and sane fireworks to continue. However, when I brought up the results of this survey at a city council meeting, these results were somehow not felt to be valid. For some on the city council, perhaps these were results that they did not want to hear. If the survey of the residents is not a valid method to determine the future of safe and sane fireworks in Lawndale, perhaps the city of Lawndale can do what the city of Hawthorne will be doing later this year. Hawthorne has the same issues with fireworks that Lawndale does. Mortis blasting on the 4th of July, inability to control the proliferation of illegal fireworks by law enforcement, and numerous complaints by residents. In order to honestly evaluate the needs of its residents, Hawthorne will be presenting a ballot measure on whether to continue to allow safe and sane fireworks in their city. Obviously, a city council can put this issue on a ballot much easier than a resident can. In preparation for this year's barrage, it is recommended that Lawndale order more permanent street signs. There are some in my neighborhood and some along the railroad tracks on Condon Avenue. Having these posted presents a constant reminder that blasting off illegal fireworks can have a serious financial impact, and I can contest that it's made a difference. Does the county sheriff's department have any special task force attempting to catch illegal fireworks distributors at their source? Last year, the city of Los Angeles focused on online sales. Their strategy involved identifying where fireworks had been traditionally sold online, coordinating with platforms like Facebook and Craigslist to take down listings. All efforts to cut off the supply can now make a big difference on July 4th. With housing prices in the 800,000s in Lawndale, the demographics of the city are changing, and law and order is an important factor. After spending these significant housing prices, nobody wants criminality to be ignored to support the fireworks manufacturers. The last time the continuation of safe and sane fireworks was placed on the ballot in Lawndale was in 2002, and before that was 1984. Regardless of one's personal opinion, it's time to let the voters of Lawndale decide this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Randall, for those comments. Let's have the next speaker, please, Madam City Clerk.
Thank you. The phone number ending in 1459, you have permission to speak.
Pam London, former Lawndale resident. Mayor, I'd like to congratulate you on your upcoming run. I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that means your seat will be available. And Mr. Kearney, you have stated that you will not be running again. No offense to the rest of you up there, but without you, Mr. Kearney, and you, Mr. Pullen Miles, there's going to be some problems. And we don't need the racist coming back thinking he can then run for mayor and win this time around. So, Mr. Kearney, I hope that you'll step up to the plate, come back and run for mayor, become the next mayor if Mr. Pullen Miles is going to leave, because we need somebody up there that has more experience than our newcomers, and no offense, Ms. Flores, but more experience than you as well. Not, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Please don't take it that way. I just hope that Lawndale will have all that it needs on its city council moving forward. We've lost too much in the city, and we don't need to lose more. But again, congratulations. Good luck, Mr. Pullen Miles. And Kearney, reconsider, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lundy, for those words, those comments. Let's hear our next speaker, Madam City Clerk.
There isn't anyone right now. If anyone would like to try to comment? No? Okay. No, we're okay.
Thank you, Madam. With that, we'll close public comment and bring it up to the council for any discussions, if any. This time I'll just wait for the hands if anybody wanted to speak on something, rather than me going down the list. Okay, in no particular order, let's hear from Shirley Cuevas, Councilwoman.
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us today and speaking. For Michelle, what are the hours for the PCR testing kits? Is it all day or is it a particular hour? Rondo, go ahead, Michelle.
No, sorry. Yeah, they do have hours. On Tuesdays, if I'm not mistaken, it's from 12 to 7. And Wednesday, trying to remember if it's Wednesday through Friday, is 10 to 5. So it's an hour after the library is open and an hour before the library closes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Randall, I do think that the voters of the city should decide whether we have fireworks or not. It's something to consider, and we would all have to make a decision as a joint group to put it on the ballot. But I do feel that the firework companies should pay a portion of our additional additional sheriff cost. So if staff could look into talking to the firework companies and see if we could work that in there. And Pam, it was nice hearing you again. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman. I saw a couple of hands, but they went down. I got two. I got another one I saw Councilwoman Hoffman Gorman, but I don't see her any longer.
She's there.
I mean, her hand up.
Her hand's up.
I'm here. My hand's up.
You must be the plus 11. Okay. Okay, Councilwoman.
I wanted to thank our new librarian for the information that she gave us. I think that that's an outstanding resource for our residents here to be able to test and know that they're safe and keeping their homes safe. I also would like to say, as far as the fireworks go, I'm not opposed to it going on the ballot, and I think that we need to have that as a conversation and bring it forward between the five of us and really consider I believe it's time again that we ask the citizens and the voters what they feel on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Let's hear from Councilman Pat Kearney.
No, let Councilwoman Suarez go first.
Oh, okay. Councilwoman Suarez.
Thank you, Councilmember Kearney, for being such a gentleman. I did want to thank everybody that spoke tonight. We always appreciate your comments. I'll make it brief. Thank you, Michelle. I had attended a COG meeting, and they did, the county spoke, and they did mention the PCR test, so I made sure to tell our staff so we could reach out to the library to get more info on that and have you come and present. So thank you for coming to our meeting. And with that, I'll pass it along. I'm not opposed to talking about the fireworks, so pass it along.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Let's hear from Councilman Pat Kearney.
I just want to welcome Michelle to the city and thank you for all the event update. Randall, I'm okay if you want to see if we can put it on the ballot. But I want to make sure that Lawndale residents are the ones only voting, because I know in the survey we had Torrance, we had Redondo, we had Hawthorne doing the survey. And Pam, I'm going to wait to see what happens with Robert before I make my mind up running for any office. But I had a discussion with Robert, so, you know, we'll see what happens. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Robert.
Thank you, Councilman. Was that everyone? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay. Michelle, I want to congratulate you on your new position as a Lawndale Library Branch Manager, and welcome to Lawndale again. Thank you for making the COVID test available. You did give the hours of the COVID testing, but did you give the hours of the library itself? I know you said an hour before and an hour after.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, everybody. So yes, the library right now is open Tuesday through Saturday. On Tuesdays, we are open from 12 to 8 p.m.
Okay.
Wednesday through Saturday, we are open from 10 to 6 p.m.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. And I appreciate the virtual programming that is offered to the communities through the library. And it's really refreshing to hear your report that families are returning back to the library. That is really
it's really nice to see.
refreshing to see they're coming back.
Yes, definitely are.
With that, thank you for your service at the library.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Randall, thank you for your expressing your concerns with the safe and sane fireworks. I've always been of the opinion that this should really be a community decision, so I'm okay however we get there, whether it's through ballot or surveys or what have you, for as the fireworks is concerned. I also am of the belief that I think we did look into not the fire companies, but the fireworks manufacturer contributing to the additional cost of sheriffs and fire suppression. I should add. I'm not really sure. I can't remember what was the outcome of that. I think, if I'm recalling, the issue was whether or not other cities have been successful in imposing such a requirement, and I'm not sure if it was positive, meaning that they were. Maybe the sheriff can give us an update on that, or someone, on whether or not we can actually impose. I know it was at one time we basically asked the fireworks manufacturer to partner with us, but at this point we might have to do it through an ordinance if we are allowed to do so. I guess that's a conversation for the sheriffs and our legal team, but thank you for bringing that to our attention. Ms. London, thank you for your well wishes. I won't get into it. This is not the right platform for that, but I really want to thank you for your well wishes. And with that, I think that's all I have. And we will close out public comments and council members' comments. With that, we are at item G, our consent calendar. What is the pleasure of this body concerning the consent calendar, item 2 through 9?
Robert, I have my hand up.
Oh, you had. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't see your hand. Yes, sir.
I'm back to this hand thing. Number, I believe it's number 3.
Okay.
Are we going to continue this, or are we going to start meeting in person again? Because LA County's opened up, the library's opened up, families coming back. I think we should meet in person. I know the 22nd will be meeting in person. That's my first question. And then accounts payable. This is for Julian. I see we have graffiti supplies again for almost $1,500. Are we just going through it? I mean, how could we spend all this money on graffiti? To take a gallon of paint to paint over lot L13? So that's my other concern about the spending and for graffiti removal. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Robert.
Okay, thank you. I would say on the resolution simply just allow us to have that discretion to meet virtually if we choose to do so, which we can choose to do so, meet on a meeting by meeting cases. It does not necessarily authorize us to meet automatically in virtually. It just says that I think it's 30 days or whatever it is, that we have to reaffirm that decision. So
Okay.
we can certainly do a case by case, but I would rather that we have that authority to do so
Okay.
than not, in case we need it at some point for whatever reason.
Then they're gonna continue this through March 10th, if we need to, virtually? What in the agenda said to, virtually through March 10th, 2022.
Yes, probably. Yeah, because that's when it would expire, where you have to renew it. Yeah. And what was your other question? You had one other question. That's for the staff.
And that's for Julian about graffiti
Julian,
expenses.
yeah, about the
Every
price of.
meeting we have over $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 in graffiti supply. I don't know what they're doing. Are they using a gallon of paint on letter L13? Or what are they doing? Why are we spending so much on graffiti? I don't understand that.
Okay.
But that's for Julian.
We'll let the Public Works Director respond.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. This is Julian Lee, Director of Public Works. As I said last time, we have a tremendous number of graffiti that we are removing. We removed almost 750 graffitis back from October to December last year. That is that's a huge burden on our costs. So again, that trend is continuing. I don't have the exact number for January, but again, we're looking at somewhere between 250 to 300 graffiti per month in October and November last year, and it's not slowing down. So it's during the weekdays and during the weekends, and again, our staff is on all over the cities to try to remove graffiti as much as possible. We are taking photos for any gang-related graffitis and providing the access to the Sheriff Department. Again, this is the cost of battle against the graffiti. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Unless there's any further discussion, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I ask a question to Julian?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead,
Um,
Councilwoman.
Julian, are we doing private properties? And if so, are we asking the homeowners to reimburse us for the cost of the paint?
Hell.
Well, currently, we are working with a lot of the commercials and a lot of the residences. If it's a gang related, and if it's a graffiti that needs to be removed right away, then we do remove it right away. We also work with customers, commercial customers that do provide us with the paint. So they do provide those matching colors so that their wall is not in two different shades. So we work with the customers in that phase, but as far as charging them for the labors, we do not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Unless there's further questions, I'll entertain a motion on item.
Robert, I'll
Item
make a
2.
motion.
Okay, the motion has been made by Kearney
I'll second that.
and seconded by Cuevas. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please conduct the vote on item 2. Item G, rather.
Okay, for the consent calendar, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes,
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Poland Miles.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam. Okay, the next item is item 10. This is a continuance of a public hearing of an appeals requested. This item is back before the City Council tonight to set the final public hearing. We will not be taking testimony tonight, just simply setting the public hearing. I believe the City Attorney is going to provide us with a brief report. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, as you said at your meeting of January 18th, you directed us to poll both the council and the applicant's team and find a date at which you could hold a meeting in person, given the importance of this and the desire to not have the final hearing over technology. The council's next regular meeting of February 22nd works for all parties. So it would be appropriate to have a motion tonight to continue this matter to February 22nd. I will advise that the agenda for that night will not have all of the language allowing for remote access. Any member of the public and obviously the team that wishes to be heard will have to be at council chambers that night. That is my report, sir. I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's pretty straightforward this evening.
Thank you, sir, for the report. With that, I'll entertain a motion, if there is such, to continue this public hearing until February 22nd.
Robert, so moved.
So the motion has been made by Kearney that we continue the public hearing until February 22nd. Is there a second?
I'll second
on the
it.
motion? And a second, sound like that was Bernadette Suarez? Okay, Councilwoman Suarez has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask the city clerk to conduct the vote on item 10.
Okay, for item number 10, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you, madam. Next item on the agenda is item 11, which is a public hearing. It's a public hearing concerning the general plan housing element, the 6th update, also CEQA exemption. This is a new item on the city council, before the city council. Let's hear from the interim city manager on a report, if she has a report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Our acting Community Development Director, Jared Chavez, will be presenting you this report tonight.
Thank you, Madam Ms. Chavez. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pullen Miles and City Council members and the public. Jared Chavez with the Community Development Department. The item before you tonight is the housing element update for 2021-2029. It should be, let me see. I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay. Whoa.
Nice.
We said we grew.
Yeah.
Is it sharing?
It's there.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so let me begin. So we are presenting to you the City of Lawndale housing element for the 2021 and 2029 sixth RENA cycle. Just 1 second. Here we go. So this is a part of our City of Lawndale general plan. It is one of the 7 elements in our general plan. And what is the general plan? The general plan serves as a guiding document to achieve a community's vision for the future. And it addresses all aspects for development, such as housing, traffic, natural resources, open space, safety, land use, and public facilities. What is our housing element? As stated before, it is part of our 7 mandatory elements for our general plan, which is a document that envisions the community's vision for the future. And it embodies policies for providing adequate housing. And it must be adopted every 8 years, according to the schedule by the State Department of Housing and Community Development. And our housing element updates must be consistent with the other elements in our general plan, such as the land use element and its diagrams. Some of the required contents of our housing element is to review the previous housing element and to put together a housing needs assessment, an inventory and analysis of the adequate sites for housing, an analysis of potential governmental and non-governmental constraints, housing policies and programs, quantified objectives, and to collect and compile public comments regarding the housing element. During the housing element update for the new cycle, we put together our draft element, and we updated a new state policies. Some of these policies are SB 35, which streamlines the approval process for affordable housing. SB 166, to maintain enough land to meet the regional housing needs assessment between the planning period. So in this case, our sixth RENA cycle, which is 2021 to 2029. AB 686, to include goals and programs affirmatively furthering fair housing. AB 1398, which is our 120-day grace period that allowed for the cities to adopt the new housing element that was initially due to be submitted on October 15th to be allowed to be adopted within 120 days of the October 15th deadline. And in order to complete the rezoning no later than a year after the adoption. Not meeting this deadline would actually penalize the city with us having to complete the zoning or the rezoning for the housing element by October of 2022. So it would give us less than a year for adoption. And AB 1397, which allows reusing sites that were previously used in other housing elements, provided that the housing is allowed by right, meaning it doesn't have to go to Planning Commission, provided that it meets affordability standards and has adequate infrastructure. A couple more, AB 1736, which amends the density bonus for development. AB 2162 and SB 48 requires to update the zoning codes supporting housing along with reduced parking requirements for these projects. So the regional housing needs assessment, it's a main part of the housing element update, and it's allocates a region's share of projected housing needs for the appropriate council of governments. So HCD takes these region's share of projected housing needs to the area. In this case, we will be the LA County region, SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments, and they will allocate units for each of the cities within this region. So the city of Lawndale received 2,497 units allocated for our regional housing needs. So in this update, we actually identified sites that would potentially make us meet our RENA numbers, or that should be making us meet our RENA numbers. This is the previous 2014 and to 2021 inventory diagram. These were some of the sites that were identified in the previous RENA cycle. And some of these sites were actually reused, and you can see them in our 2021, 2029 RENA allocation, sites allocations. So in this, you can see the sites that are suitable for all income levels, which would be the yellow, highlighted in yellow, and sites suitable for moderate to above moderate income levels, which is highlighted in red. Most of the sites were also identified as opportunity areas by the census tract. So these would be potential development sites for affordable housing or just housing in general. So some of the things that we did update in our housing element is that in order to meet the RENA numbers, the density had to be re-looked at, and so we worked together with the consultant to put together overlays that will identify areas in which the density will be increasing. So based on the comments that we received from the public, we put together two overlays, one within the Hawthorne Boulevard specific plan area, and the other one would be located in the sites that are not located within the Hawthorne Boulevard specific plan. So any of the other sites that we identified, such as in Prairie Avenue, or Manhattan Beach Boulevard, or any other sites that are not within the Hawthorne plan, would have a separate overlay for density. So the current density right now is we have 33 dwelling units per acre. So that is the whole density, maximum density throughout the city. And we put together an overlay for the Hawthorne plan, so Hawthorne Boulevard specific plan area, which will increase it to 150 dwelling units an acre. And the areas that are not within the Hawthorne Boulevard specific plan area would be increased to 100 dwelling units an acre. And the existing units will remain and will not be a non-conforming. So this is not going to make it a non-conforming, rather than it's going to be an overlay that's going to identify regulations and requirements that the developer is going to have to meet in order for them to be able to build high density. So some of the units will have to be affordable. They're going to have to provide certain amount of parking spaces, etc. Which when we do our zoning update, we're going to put together those regulations. Continuing, this is one of the examples of what 33 dwelling units an acre looks like. So at the top site, you can see one of the, I believe it's called it's one of our existing sites right behind the postal office. So that's 33 dwellings an acre. And that's another example on the bottom too, as a 33 dwellings units per acre. Would be more of a 100 dwelling units per acre. So about approximately 3 to 4 stories, commercial area at the bottom, maybe some open space at the top. And this is an example of a 200 dwelling units per acre, 150, sorry, dwelling units per acre, which would be something more that you would see within the Hawthorne plan. Again, it would have to meet certain requirements and regulations in order for the developer to be able to build up to this density. And some of it would be parking, affordability, design guidelines, etc. And so those are the main keys. Those are the main points that the Hawthorne plan updated. We updated our new sites for RENA. We updated our state mandated regulations. And we did a couple more changes to the actual document. We do have our final draft up online. We are requesting that the city council actually recommend this Hawthorne Boulevard, this housing element update to be approved, with the condition that if the state, the HCD, Housing and Community Development, we are going to submit it over to them. So if they do not want to certify the document because they believe that we didn't meet any of the requirements or changes that they asked for us previously when we took this to Planning Commission, that we are going to have to maybe come back to the council to maybe revisit this item. However, we are requesting the council adopt this final draft housing element 6 RENA cycle update. Again, with the condition that we may have to come back to the council to make any changes if HCD requires it. And if you have any questions, staff is available for any questions.
Okay, I'll entertain questions from the council at this time if there's any. Only questions, but no comments or no commentary, if you would. Any questions or clarifications before we open the public hearing?
I have a question, council
Yes,
member. Looking at the recent or the laws that are impacting our housing element, is there a reason why SB 9 and 10 weren't included in that list? Those recently took effect, but I think they would definitely impact um, buildings or housing in that nature would definitely impact our numbers should people take advantage of those laws that recently took into effect.
Councilwoman Bernadette, may I? So SB9, we're actually bringing together, we're putting together an urgency ordinance to bring to you, to the council to visit and look at. I will get back to you on the reason why a consultant didn't put it in the new housing element, but we are going to put together an urgency ordinance for your review.
Any additional questions before we open the public hearing? I have one question real quick. Concerning the sphere of influence, what is our responsibility in terms of RENA for the sphere of influence? Do we have to provide for housing in that area in the event that there's annexation because it's in our sphere, or how does that work?
I am not 100% sure, Mr. Pullen Miles, but I know that it is a requirement for us to provide the sphere of influence just in case the future, but I will get back to you on that question to provide housing. I know that we have to just show within our city boundaries the RENA sites. I'm not sure about the other areas that are not part of the city, but I will check with the consultant and I will get back to you on that.
Okay.
Jared, this is Greg Murphy. I can help a little bit with that. The city does not have to pre-zone in the sphere of influence outside the city boundaries.
Okay.
The reason that it's included in the housing element is this falls under a state law that applies to cities statewide. So your sphere of influence is primarily developed already. There are other areas where the sphere of influence may be agricultural, might be desert scrub. So it's important that the state understand what the sphere of influence would be if a city out in one of those areas were to annex additional land, potentially for the purpose of housing. Because the law applies to everybody, we have to go through the same process, but it's not hugely relevant to Lawndale. Thank you, sir,
Okay.
and thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. All righty. There are not any more questions. I'll open up the public hearing. I will now open up the public hearing at 7:48, and I ask if there's any public comments on this matter. Can the city clerks please allow the public online access to make their comments if there are any?
Okay, to provide a comment, please select the raise hand feature. For the call-in participants, press *5, then *6 to raise hand and unmute. Once your hand is raised and you are queued to speak, you will be granted access to unmute and turn on your camera, and you have 3 minutes for a comment. So far, we don't have anyone.
Okay. We'll give it some extra time in case they're getting the thoughts together. Okay, it doesn't seem like we have any public comments.
No, no one.
So okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. At this time, I will close the public hearing at 4:79. The public hearing is hereby closed. And I ask the City Council to please make any comments they would like to at this time. If there's anyone who wants to make any comments. Let's hear from Councilman Pat Kearney.
I want to thank Jared for all that important reading. When I got the binder on Thursday of last week, I was shocked. I didn't see an agenda this thick before in 12 years, Robert. You might have.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of nights I woke up and I was drooling on the pages. That's how much I had to read. But thank you, Jared, for the input and all the paperwork.
Absolutely. Any additional comments?
I do.
Councilman Flores.
Thank you. Thank you. So I just wanted to make sure that we do look at the SB 9 and 10. I attended Redondo Beach, City of Redondo Beach, their hearing for their housing element. And from what I understand, they're planning to put majority, they have around the same number as ours, but they're planning to put it all in District 5, which is really close to us. So it's a lot of housing for that limited area. They mentioned it in theirs. I think they included it in there. So I just wanted to make sure that, we also try and take advantage of, if it gives us any credit, that we take advantage of that. I know there's no historical data to back it up, but I just really want to make sure we look at that. And then I just also wanted to thank staff. There is one correction actually. It doesn't mention that we've included, it references the 2020 census, but it doesn't reference it there's one particular section. I'll have to look through the pic, but it doesn't mention that they've actually included those numbers. It says 2010 and another year, but it doesn't mention 2020. So just make sure we make that correction. And then just wanted to add that it is a really tough thing for the city to undertake. We're so densely populated with limited space. I really thank staff for this report, but it is something hard. And in prior years, the city probably could have promoted more programs such as homeownership and all that, but due to the dissolution of redeveloped funds, which used to give cities funds to help promote, development and all, with that, it's kind of our hands are tied. So, hopefully there's something in the future that comes up that we can actually promote affordable housing. Because if these numbers, it's over 1,000 of them are allowed to be moderate to high, which, that's a lot of units that would definitely push up the pricing for everybody. So hopefully in the future, the state puts in some type of program so that we can promote affordable housing. But with that, that's all I had to say, actually.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
May I say something?
Yes.
Councilwoman Suarez, I just wanted to let you know that, those overlays that we did put together for the housing element are going to require affordable housing. So it's not just going to be moderate to, to high, but we are going to encourage affordable housing. And hopefully, also with SB 9, we're going to take advantage of the affordable housing option that the state is giving us. So we are going to be putting that. And I know just to clarify, SB 9 is only going to apply to the R1 zones. So I know we have a smaller portion of it. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? First of all, I want to thank the staff for this report. This was a huge undertaking by the Community Development Department, and the hearings, not the hearings, but the community meetings that was conducted. It was pretty challenging to conduct them over the COVID environment virtually, but you guys hung in there and conducted a number of public hearings. So I want to appreciate you for that, and for this housing element update. Hopefully it would get approved by the Department of Housing and Community Development without any problems. If not, we will address those as they come up. I am excited to see that there are more opportunities for affordable housing. I mean, I believe in having a healthy mix of affordable housing and market rate housing. We've done what we could do as a city in terms of affordable housing, and we do have some units, a couple of units that's coming online. Some of them is already built. For some reason, they just haven't gotten their final, approval, what have you. That has a affordable component for some of the units, and so just to have this update include more affordable housing, I think that's a great thing for home ownership in our community. So I want to thank the staff in that regard. So with that, we already closed the public hearings and we made comments. I can entertain a motion to approve the housing element tonight. If
Robert, this is Pat. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, the motion's been made by Mr. Kearney, Councilman Kearney.
I'll second that.
Oh.
Well, go ahead, Bernadette.
That's fine.
Okay, seconded by Cuevas. Okay. Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please conduct the vote on the motion?
Okay, for item number 11, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, item 12. Item 12 is if selection of projects for the fiscal year 2022, 2023 Community Block Grant Program. This item is a new item before the council. Does the interim city manager have a report?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Ms. Jarrett Chavez will also be presenting this item for you this evening.
All righty, Ms. Chavez.
Good evening. I'm gonna go ahead and have our consultant. He's gonna go ahead and help me with the presentation for the CBDG 2022-2023 program for the Community Development Grant Program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Michael Neal. I'm the city's CDBG consultant with Michael Baker International. And what we have before us tonight is our proposed projects for next fiscal year. Just a little background. The 1974 Housing and Urban Development Act established the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program in order to allocate federal funds for state and local use. The use of these funds is restricted to programs that assist low and moderate income persons. A secondary objective is to prevent and eliminate slum and blight conditions within a community. The City of Lawndale is a participant in the Los Angeles Urban County CDBG program and receives an annual allocation of CDBG funds from the Los Angeles County Development Authority, or LACTA. The current estimate for the new CDBG allocation for fiscal year 2022-23 is $321,438. This estimate is based on current CDBG funding levels and is consistent with the amount of funding the city has received over the past several years. This proposed CDBG allocation is a planning estimate only. LACTA will release the final appropriations in spring of 2022. It varies, sometimes they have it as early as February some years. Typically, it's more like April or May. The city's final CDBG allocation is generally within 5 to 10% of the estimate provided. There are a number of other requirements for CDBG programs. The funds may be spent only in areas where the city is determined to be block grant eligible. We have an attachment A, eligible areas within the city. All of the city's census tracts are eligible, so we have a lot of flexibility geographically. Typically, if the census tract is low to moderate income, most activities, particularly in primarily residential areas, are eligible. This is a required public notice for this public hearing. A 14-day public notice is required. Also in attachment B, there's a copy of the public notice, which was published in the Daily Breeze on January 23rd, 2022. Lastly, the maximum amount of CDBG monies that the city may devote to public services is up to 20% of its annual allocation, which for next year is estimated to be $64,287. No single public service activity may be funded for less than $10,000. And the recommended projects for next year for a public service, the Senior Activities Nutrition Program. This is an ongoing program with the city, providing meals for seniors in Lawndale. And the recommendation is that that program be funded at the maximum 20% allowed of the estimated allocation, which is at $64,287. The second project is a street resurfacing project with three different areas of streets. Grevillea from Manhattan Beach Boulevard to 159th, 159th from Grevillea to Hawthorne Boulevard, and then Mansell Avenue from 145th to 147th. And the estimates on this are $257,151. And as I said, that's the balance of 80% of the funding allocation available. And those are the recommended projects for next fiscal year, if there are any questions.
Okay, Mr. Neal, thank you for that report. Is there any other information we should know, Ms. Jarrett Chavez? Okay, with that, yes, ma'am.
No, nothing, Mr. Mayor. Not right now. Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are there any comments from the council before we open the public hearing? Okay, seeing none. Now we'll open the public hearing at 8:02. Public hearing is now open. I ask if there's any public comments on this matter. I ask the city clerk, will you please allow the public online access to make their comments, if any.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the moment, well, let's give it some time. No one has raised their hand.
Okay, thank you, Madam City Clerk. This time it is 8:02. I will close the public hearing. The public hearing is hereby closed. Is there any comments from the city council?
I have one, Robert.
Yes, sir.
On the senior activities of $64,000. On the accounts payable, they have Meals on Wheels that charge $78. I don't know if that's for a week or a day. I think it's for a week, if I remember right. You take that by 52 item. Is some of the employee wages coming out of that $64,000 that works over in for the senior services, or is it strictly for Meals on Wheels? Because it doesn't have right. Maybe Jared or maybe our Neil can answer that question.
I believe staff time comes out of that as well.
Okay,
I think it's
that was my question.
predominantly the cost for the meals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But staff time is an eligible time. It's not entirely funded by CDBG.
Right.
It's just part of the leverage fund.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
All righty. Are there any additional questions of the council? Okay, seeing none. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve this fiscal year 2022-23 CDBG program. Is there such a motion?
Come on, ladies.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. It didn't pop up on my screen. Is that Suarez?
Did my motion go through? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Motion made
I'll
by
second that.
Suarez and
I'll
seconded
second
by
that.
Cuevas. Okay, and second by Cuevas. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk, please conduct the vote on item 12.
Okay, for item 12, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Pullen Miles.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, moving along to item 13, a memorandum of understanding between the city and ASME Local 1895, Council 36. Let's have the staff report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. The items before you this evening for your consideration are two resolutions. One is to approve the memorandum of understanding between the City of Lawndale and AFSCME, and the other is a resolution to approve a citywide salary pay schedule for fiscal year 2021-2022. Over the last year, AFSCME and the city's negotiation team has been tasked with meeting and conferring in good faith to produce a successor MOU, which last expired in June 2020. The parties have reached an agreement that has been ratified by AFSCME on specific terms and conditions as that's being presented to you this evening. This 3-year agreement will cover the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2023, and incorporates the following mutually negotiated items. It will provide a 2% salary increase effective July 1, 2021, and a one-time lump sum non-purchasable ratification ARPA, or American Rescue Plan Act, payment of $2,000 for full-time employees and $1,000 for part-time. This MOU will also provide a 1% salary increase effective July 1, 2022, a modification to the 410 work schedule program to allow the public works maintenance workers and inspection staff on a 6-month trial period, reintroduce the standby pay provision during this 410 work schedule trial period, and provide standby payment of $175 per week, a modification to the 980 work schedule program to apply to the Community Services Department, adding the Juneteenth National Independence Day as an observed city holiday, and addressing a minimum wage compaction issue with the senior nutrition specialist, which will bring this hourly rate for this position equivalent to the senior recreation leader position. Should City Council adopt and approve the successor MOU, the approval will trigger the need to also approve and adopt Resolution CC 2202-007, an update to the citywide salary pay schedule for all position titles and pay rates ranges for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Staff respectfully recommends that City Council adopt the resolution approving the 2020-2023 memorandum of understanding between the City of Lawndale and AFSCME, as well as adopt a resolution approving the 2021-2022 citywide salary and pay schedule. Staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for that report, madam. Is there any discussion on the report? Okay, seeing none, what is the pleasure?
I have one, Robert. My hand's
Yes,
up.
ma'am. Yes, sir.
Whatever. Call me whatever. On this memorandum of understanding, is this going to be the signed contract? Because I know we have 2 closed sessions on some of the negotiations. I have some questions about the mid management employees as far as some of the benefits they're asking for. So if we agree with this, it's not a contract, correct? We're just agreeing to it.
Thank you, Councilmember Pat Kearney. Presenting to you tonight is the actual MOU, and this is what will be signed by both the city and the AFSCME representatives. So this will be the final copy.
Well, then I'd like to continue this till after we do our closed session, because I have some concerns about mid-management benefits. Can we do that?
Mid-management,
yeah.
When you say mid-management, you mean the AFSCME mid-management group?
Well, I believe we only have the staff and the mid-managers, right?
Yeah, it's classified unit as well as mid-management professional.
I have some concerns about what mid-managers getting compared to what the staff, the working class, outside the street working class. I have some discussion I'd like to read before the city council. Can we continue to have the closed session, Robert?
Yeah, we definitely can. I just want one point of clarification. What effect will our closed session have on this item? I want to make sure it would have some type of...
If we put it off this evening, we would have to bring this item back at another meeting.
No, I'm talking about after, if we bring it back after closed session. Not necessarily after not necessarily if we bring it back after closed session, but the discussion in closed session, could that have an effect on this item?
Potentially, if the discussion would trigger us to make some decisions different from what we have tonight.
So,
okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, this is Greg. If I can just add, item 18 for closed session was put on the agenda for exactly this purpose. We could cancel that item if the council voted to adopt the MOU, but putting it on the agenda allows you the flexibility to go in and have additional discussion. As Raylette said, if you come out of that discussion happy with what's in front of you, you can adopt it tonight by doing what Councilmember Kearney said, continuing the item until after closed session and coming back and dealing with it. If instead you would like more negotiation or the terms to change, then I will defer to Raylette, but I believe that would mean it would have to go back to the union for its approval first before it comes to you.
That is correct.
So it sounds like we should take Councilmember Kearney's suggestion and have the closed session, and then we'll table this for the closed session, until after the closed session.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome. Without any objection, that would be the order. Okay, so that was item 13. Let's hear from item 14, the Metro Measure C Cooperative Agreement. Who wants to give that report?
That would be me. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, member of the City Council. This is Julian Lee, Director of Public Works. This evening, staff would like to provide you information, provide you for requests for approval of the Measure M Cooperative Agreement and adoption of a resolution to support Metro Complete Street Policy. In April of 2020, City of Lawndale partnered with Los Angeles County Department of Public Works and the City of Redondo Beach and submitted a project application for a Metro Active Transport program, which is also known as MAT program. The proposal was to install and improve or new bike lanes or pedestrian facilities along Redondo Beach Boulevard and Ripley Avenue, from Flagler Lane, which is it's in Redondo Beach, all the way to Dominguez Channel, which is in LA County, with project location approximately about 3.3 miles in distance. And in January of 2021, Metro approved the funding of $6.6 million for this project, including over $350,000 for the early planning task. City of Lawndale does not have any financial obligation on this phase. That $350,000 will cover the early planning phase. To move forward, the County of Los Angeles Department of Public Works, City of Redondo Beach, and City of Lawndale must enter into the Metro Cooperative Agreement and also adopt a resolution supporting the Metro Complete Street Policy. So with that, staff recommends City Council to approve the Measure M Cooperative Agreement and adopt the resolution CC-2202-008 to adopt the Metro's Complete Streets Policy and authorize the City Manager and the Department of Public Works to execute the MAT-funded program. Thank you, and staff is ready for any questions.
Very good. Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Mr. Lee, are there any questions of the report on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we approve items A, B, and C.
So moved, Robert.
Okay, the motion's been made by Kearney
I'll second that.
and seconded by Cuevas, that we approve the Metro C Cooperative Agreement. Wait a minute, they approved the Measure C Cooperative Agreement, yep. And then we adopt City Council Resolution CC 2020-02-008, okay. And then C is authorizing the interim city manager and director of public works to execute the Metro Active Transportation Funding Program and other certificates and certifications that's needed. Madam City Clerk, please conduct the vote on item 14.
Okay, for item 14, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Poland Miles.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, madam. Okay. Item number 15, Southern California Association of Government Annual General Assembly Appointment of Voting Delegates. Let's have the staff report. It's pretty simple. We just have to, decide who's going to be the voting delegate at on May 5th.
Well, who's our representative for SCAG right now, Robert, do you know? Is it Rhonda? Who is?
I don't think we have one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this particular item you have to
Yeah,
do
we don't have.
every year.
Okay.
Yes,
I
thank
want
you.
to volunteer for that one. Sorry.
No, I was just going to
Go
say that this would be your opportunity to delegate the person that you would like to go as a voting delegate. And I know that Councilmember Suarez has volunteered and expressed interest in this. So what we need from you tonight is to identify who you would like to delegate as the voting delegate and an alternative, as well as let us know who will be attending this meeting.
Okay.
So we
It sounds
got,
like Bernadette Suarez has volunteered.
I'll be her alternate again.
You want to be the alternate again?
Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead again.
last year
Bernadette.
they did a Zoom.
Yes.
Last year they did Zoom, but I think we had the same. I think the setup. So I attended last year's via Zoom.
Okay.
Yes, I
So-
think that this year is actually going to be in person. We're not completely certain. So that means if it is in person, we would need for you to approve monies to be set aside to move forward in making the accommodations for this meeting, and then also let us know whether or not the alternate will also be in attendance.
Okay. Without objection, I'm going to appoint Bernadette Suarez to be the voting delegate and Pat Kearney the alternate delegate at the May 5th assembly. Okay, is there? I get a motion to that effect.
I'll motion to approve Bernadette as the voting delegate and Kearney as the second one.
Yeah, okay.
Robert, I have a question.
And I'll second it.
Yes, there's a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron. Okay.
Okay, let's get the second
Let's
first by
combine
Rhonda
the
Hoffman
question.
Gorman, and then we'll entertain your question.
Okay.
So seconded by Hoffman Gorman. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we combine the delegate, the alternate, and who's going, the cost all together in one bundle at one time? Or do they have to be separate entities?
No, I'm perfectly fine. In fact, Councilman, I was going to say if the motion could be amended to also appropriate the money and direct the city clerk's office to do the confirmation. I think that's absolutely appropriate.
All right. So I'll motion for A, B, and C.
The heck's A, B, and C?
A will be who's attending. B is the voting delegate. C is the
Voting delegate.
D is the money, the
Money
funds,
allocated.
and then E is for the city clerk to confirm the delegate.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So that was an amendment to the original motion. I assume that it's still
I'll second
second.
it. Yes.
Okay. Is that Hoffman Gorman?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like your hand flashes like that, so I can't tell if you, for some reason, I don't know, it disappears. Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk. please conduct the vote.
Are you muted?
I did. I'm muting my mic over here. Sorry. That's why nobody was laughing at for all of item 15. Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman.
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas.
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney.
Yes.
Mayor Pullen Miles. I almost said Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Pullen Miles.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. Next item 16, Citywide Special Events Calendar. Let's hear
Thank you,
from Mr. Estes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and City Council members, staff, and public with us on this Microsoft Teams call. I'd like to present the 2022 proposed citywide special event calendar for the city of Lawndale. As you folks know, we have approximately 12 special events per year. That's been tradition since I got here in 2007, and we've maintained that. You know, we switched out a few events here and there, but it's generally been 12 events per year. And we haven't been able to run most of those over the past couple of years for obvious reasons due to the pandemic. The final 4 events of the year, and we're in FY fiscal year 21-22 right now. The final 4 events of the year, which we do hope to and plan on running this year, are budgeted in the budget. The remaining events, which will take place next fiscal year, which is FY 2022 and 23, will be proposed in the FY 22-23 budget as we begin to work on that probably in just about 2 short months here. So in terms of special event restrictions, there aren't many restrictions, especially for outdoor events. The LA County and the State Department of Public Health, the only restrictions they have on outdoor public events are for mega events. And that threshold was in early January was reduced from 10,000 down to 5,000. So we really don't have to worry about any outdoor restrictions for our upcoming outdoor special events unless those restrictions change. And I do see them probably relaxing before they get even stricter. But the only restriction there, just to say, if we did have an event in excess of $5,000 would be the requirement to mask. For indoor facilities, the LA County and State Department of Health are still frowning upon indoor facilities. That is where the exposure, that's where the transmission is happening in most cases. So there are 3 events that we are going to recommend cancellation for, but there are no restrictions to us holding indoor events. It's just not recommended at this time due to the transmission of the Omicron and the variants out there that related to COVID-19. So the 3 events that we are recommending cancellation for in 2022 is Youth and Government Day. Just a real brief explanation. That's 100% students from Centinela Valley Union High School District, and the school districts, from what I have learned, are restricting field trip opportunities for students. So we couldn't have that event even if we wanted to, but the safe thing to do is to not have that event this year out of respect for the students and out of the respect for people's health. The second event we're recommending cancellation is our annual Lawndale Youth Day Parade. That's an event that usually includes upwards of 2,000 people. It's a large event. It's an event that's really hard to social distance. The other part of that is our participation levels for that event is typically about 70% Lawndale elementary school district students, as well as maybe a small percentage, maybe 10 to 15% of Centinela Valley Union High School District personnel as well. So this just came about through informal discussions between my department and the school district. So that event is recommended for cancellation, and typically that event requires about 5 to 6 months of planning anyways, and as you know, we just don't really know what's next for this coronavirus. We all hope that it's it's decreasing and going away, but we just really don't know based on what we saw the past couple months with the surge. And the third event we suggest cancellation for is the volunteer sponsorship dinner. Just really briefly, we haven't had any programs in the community center for almost 2 years now, and the purpose of that event is to recognize all of our volunteers who generally help in the youth sports programs, the senior programs, and whatnot. And the second part of this is going back to last budget year. We could see that this pandemic wasn't really going to turn around in a big way, and we didn't budget for that event anyway. So those, unfortunately, are the three events that we are suggesting cancellation for. Our proposed 2022 special events calendar, and it actually goes into 2023, is the same as it ever has been, and we are hoping that we're going to be able to run each and every event, but staff will request the authorization to make decisions as each event comes up. And as I mentioned before, we're hoping to see a decrease in continuing decreases in the surge so we can have this event, but we still maintain Spring Cleanup Week, Easter Egg Hunt, Memorial Day Remembrance, Health, Safety, and Pet Fair. Those are the remaining 4 events in 2021-22, and then going into budget year 2022, we will have National Night Out, Lawndale Blues Festival, Fall Cleanup Week, Halloween Haunt, Field of Honor flag display, and the Angel Tree Lighting event. And as you folks know, we had just a great breakout in fourth quarter 2021. We're able to have really 3 rock solid events with the Lawndale Blues Festival, Halloween Haunt, and the Angel Tree event, which the combined total, we projected about 3,500 people in total attended those 3 events on their own. For future events programs, we would just like to consider the following 3 things when we make decisions on whether we can run a program or not. And as always, we are going to run every event we can as long as it's safe and as long as we can do it and protect our residents and people in the community that attend our events. So number 1, we would look at the increase or decrease in the spread of COVID-19 and the new variants, and changing California Department of Public Health and Los Angeles County Department of Public Health guidelines and restrictions. We keep an eye on that closely. Things are changing virtually monthly now, and they're going in the right direction. And the third thing, which is probably more important than anything else, is whether or not we can hold these special events safely for both the program participants, the residents, the non-residents, and staff as well. As I mentioned before, really briefly, the fiscal impact, there's really no fiscal impact outside of what we have in our budget. The final 4 events of the year are budgeted in the FY 21-22 budget, and the few municipal services department events are also budgeted as well. Once again, when we start the budget season in probably about 6 weeks or so, we will go to bat for all of the 2022 special events beginning July 1st, and we certainly expect to have all of those events. This is a receive and file report, so staff recommends that the City Council receive and file this report. And if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer those, and staff is available.
Okay, thank you for the report. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. She literally has her hand up.
Yeah.
Let's go to Councilwoman.
Mike, since we canceled the parade, are we thinking of doing the Ciclavia, the bicycle event, or is that also going to be canceled?
Yes, we're going to cancel that as well, because it kind of goes hand in hand with the Youth Day Parade. The Lawndale Bike Parade, the bike program, uses the Youth Day Parade route. So while the streets are closed, we thought of that several years ago, as just making that a fun event for people to use the streets that are already closed. So for that reason, the manpower and the cost to close those streets just for that event is probably not a great use of public funds.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Pat Kearney.
Yes, I have a problem with canceling the Youth Day Parade. I don't know where Mike and the staff get information, but I know the 2 middle schools, their bands are practicing right now to be in the parade. My granddaughter's in the band of Jane Ellis, and they're looking forward to battling Will Rogers. I don't know who's misleading who. And as far as it would take 5 months, I think you're wrong there again, Mike. I've been a lot of parades with you, and we could put this together and still have it out at the end of April. As far as the threshold, we'll be under 5,000 people, so they don't have to wear masks. And yet, you want to do an Easter egg hunt where they're all confined into one park. I'd like to see the Youth Day Parade come back this year. We did Santa Sleigh, there was no problems. I don't know how the rest of the council feels. I think somebody's misleading someone or someone just pure ass lazy. And so I'll just see the Youth Day Parade come back this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I mean, for me, the Youth Day Parade is an outdoor event. I guess there's more than 500 people. You can call it a mega event. But I don't see, I mean, I'm not a trained scientist or anything, but I don't see if you have a Youth Day Parade with 2,000 people, but you can have the Super Bowl with 60,000 people. And most of these people, when I say people, are, should I say, younger folks that are not as susceptible to the virus as some are older folks, including myself. You know,
I would also like to see the parade if it's possible, but you know, it all depends on the school district if they're gonna, you know, allow the students to be part of the program.
Yeah, we were told for the Angel Tree event specifically, I had 3 bands lined up to perform for Angel Tree on the stage like we more normally do, and I was told at that time that the school district wouldn't let it happen. They're not releasing kids for field trips, and this is, since they're under the school district's watch, this is considered a field trip. They need permission slips by all the parents, and the suggestion to cancel this was not related to the pandemic. It wasn't related to the outdoor restrictions, because this event does not gather 5,000 people in one spot. Now, throughout the city, there's people all over. There's probably 1,000 on the streets, 1,500 in the parade and whatnot. This was strictly suggested for cancellation because we've missed the opportunity to plan effectively, and we were told by the school district that field trips they're not releasing kids for field trips. And it is a difficult event to social distance. I'm not saying that can't happen, but it is a difficult program to socially distance. And we're essentially about 6 or 7 weeks away from the parade, which will make it a difficult event to plan.
I look for more like 10 weeks away. We're only in February. The last Saturday in April is the parade, Mike. So don't blow smoke up there, okay?
So let me say.
And I know you said you talked to him back in before Angel Tree. Well, that's December. This is now February, and things have changed. So I suggest you get on the phone tomorrow and you call the school districts. I know the middle schools are biting at the bit to participate in the Youth Day Parade.
Mayor, City Council.
Yes, ma'am.
I propose that we come back to you once we determine whether or not the students will be allowed to participate in this event, and bring that back to you for further discussion. I think we also would need to look at the cost. I'm not certain if we allocated money towards this event, so that's something that we would actually also have to look at and come back to you with the budget to move forward with this item if you so choose.
Okay,
the funds are budgeted. Just to clarify, the funds are budgeted. So
the funds are budgeted.
The funds are there? Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like the school district has made the choice for us if they're not going to allow.
That was December.
So we'll follow up to find out if those guidelines are still in place, if they plan to release students, and then we'll get back to you.
Okay, so we'll continue that item. Okay. That was item 12. Let's see what else we have here. I think we got a couple of closed sessions here. Go back to the beginning. Okay. All right. Right, okay. That was 16. This agenda is so packed. Got a whole bunch of items I got to look through. Okay, so that was item 16. So now we're at item 17. Any comments, attendance, anything the council like to share? In no order.
Okay. Well,
oh, okay. Go ahead.
I have my hand up again. Okay.
Well, I was going to say the names, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, 'cause I said the far end anyway. So I attended one meeting this last month. It was Lobby Trust and Oversight Committee meeting on the 19th, and there's several items I will be forwarded to the City Council in a future date. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda Hoffman Gorman. She has her hand up.
Thank you, sir. So first off, I attended with the mayor, meeting with the Metro department on the information on the Metro line and coming down in through the city. I just want the residents to be aware, we are making progress. We are not necessarily happy with the fact that it's coming through our city, but they are hearing the mayor and I on our concerns. My biggest goal right now is that when they go to meet with the residents, that unlike the meetings of a couple of years ago where they had all the residents get up and ask questions and there were no answers, we want them prepared with answers. It's really important. They're still watching, and it's going to be 2023 before we find out what the final decision is on whether the train is going down the row or going out on the Hawthorne Boulevard direction. We have concerns, and Robert and I have voiced them regarding noise, regarding the impact in our neighborhood. We are drilling them from every direction that we can so that they're prepared to meet with our constituents and be able to adequately have information for them. So that is something that's moving forward. The next thing I'd like to do is I want to personally thank Julian for the type of work he's been doing with me. I've had a lot of complaints the last couple of weeks on homelessness, and Julian has assisted me working with Caltrans, and we're going to be moving forward with Caltrans on looking at some cleanup of some places that are scaring residents. So I'm happy that Julian is on my team, and he's also stepped up to the plate too this week. I've had issues with like manhole covers that were too bumpy after the blacktopping and things like this. And so I feel like I invade that department quite a bit. And lights out on Hawthorne Boulevard, I'm always facing lights out on Hawthorne Boulevard. So there's many different things. And I just want to say, Julian, you are so appreciated. Jared, you're appreciated. All of our employees, they're going over and beyond. We're short-staffed right now, and they're doing it. And they're not using excuses. They're giving us the answers that we're needing. So I appreciate every single one of them. That's it tonight, guys.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Let's see, who else did? Okay, let's hear from a Councilwoman Suarez. See, your hand comes out down here.
Okay.
There.
I did the virtual and the real one.
There you go.
So last month, I did virtually view a panel on the California rooftop solar and California debate. The California Public Utilities Commission is looking at essentially eliminating net metering, which solar panel owners usually get a credit when any unused energy they get goes to the grid. Yeah. So they're trying to revamp it. They're trying to look at things as, is the cost of the burden and how it's impacting people who don't have solar, and all, but at the same time still trying to encourage solar. So it was a very interesting panel. I also attended the South Bay Cities Council of Government Board of Directors meeting on the 27th, and they did mention the PCR tests that the library is giving out. And then last week I attended the South Bay Cities Legislative Committee on February 3rd. And then today I attended the COG, the Housing Trust Fund Subcommittee. So the COG is looking at exploring doing a trust fund, housing trust fund. We're looking at whether that would be a nonprofit or a JPA. And that's something that we're hoping, if we can make it effective, will help cities like ours build affordable housing and satisfying RENA numbers. So hopefully that we can get something out of that. So with that, I'll pass it along.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. I think we've heard from everyone.
Oh, maybe really quick, Robert.
Cuevas? Okay. I thought you went. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Just really quick, I have been stopped by several citizens. I didn't attend any meetings or webinars, but I've been stopped by several citizens, seniors especially, asking for the community center to open. I know we're still limited on the amount of people we could have indoors, but they are craving to go back and joining their friends in the community center. So could we have a date maybe for next meeting where we could just tell them maybe it'll be sometime in March or in April, but give them a status on when we will be opening the community center? That will be all. Sorry.
I agree. Maybe the staff will take a look at it and give us a projected date. Okay.
We will definitely take a look at it and definitely get back to you. We were planning to do something for the next meeting, but this next meeting is dedicated for the public hearing. So we are looking to bring something back to you in March.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, I did attend the regular meeting of the Los Angeles County Sanitation District. It's the regular meeting. And as indicated by Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman, I also attended the Metro call regarding the Sea Line project. The one takeaway, I guess I would say the best takeaway, I guess, that came from the meeting is that Metro has determined that if they choose to go down the road, if that's the alternative that they adopt, that there is a possibility that they can go under 170th Street. It was doubtful at first, but I guess they took enough a greater look at it and has determined that they will be able to go under 170th Street, which is important, of course, for that great separation, as well as not dividing the city, or that area, I should say, with a lot of train passing through. So I was excited to hear that. And we are making progress in terms of, although we're not happy necessarily about the project, we are happy that we are making progress with not Caltrans, that's the other meeting, Metro. We're happy that we're making progress with them like a few years ago. So that was the update on that. And touching on the homeless situation, there's a homeless encampment that's building more on Fremona and Manhattan Beach, right there by the Arco. So that's just a growing activity. There's starting to be vehicles that lined up, 2 or 3 vehicles. And I know they have something to do with the homeless, because once in a while I'll see someone coming out behind the Caltrans property and get into one of those vehicles. So if we can take a look at that. In addition, there was a fence, a Caltrans fence that was cut by the EMI sign building, the big sign building right there by the freeway. Not only they cut the fence, but they tried to make entry into the building. And they couldn't make entry into the building because the bars or whatever they have on the building, but they definitely try to make entry according to the owner to the building. I've since passed that on to our city manager so we can get Caltrans to fix that fence. And obviously they had bolt cutters or what have you, because it was actually cut, not just the lot breached, or what have you. Okay, so that's all I have in my report. We only have 20 more items to go, folks. There you go. There you go. We do have a couple of closed sessions, a conference with labor negotiator, and a conference with labor negotiator, and a public employee's appointment. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give the provisions for which we would go under.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Both the conference with the labor negotiator regarding the bargaining unit and the conference regarding unrepresented employees will be held under Government Code Section 54957.6. The public employee appointment is under Government Code Section 54957, subdivision B. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will adjourn to closed session. Okay, we have returned from closed session. I'm going to ask the city attorney to give us the closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council was briefed on items 18 and 20. No reportable action was taken on those items. There was no briefing on item 19 this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next item, last item on our agenda is return to item 13, memorandum of understanding between the city and ASME Local 1895. That's here. Who wants to speak on this item? Councilman Pat Kearney.
Okay, let's move forward with it. I recommend we do the, whatever the recommendation is.
Okay, at this time, there's actually three, or two rather.
Okay.
The adoption of said resolution approving the memorandum of understanding between the city of Lawndale and ASME Local 1895, and the adoption of the resolution, said resolution approving the fiscal year 2021-22 citywide salary and pay schedule.
Yes, I'll go with staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Okay. So so the motion has been made by Kearney and seconded by Cuevas. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please vote.
Okay, excuse me. Okay, for item number 13, Mayor Pro Tem Hoffman Gorman,
Yes.
Councilmember Cuevas,
Yes.
Councilmember Suarez,
Yes.
Councilmember Kearney,
Yes.
Mayor Poland Miles.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item L is adjournment. City Hall will be closed for the President Day holiday on the next regular meeting date. Therefore, the next meeting of the Lawndale City Council will be held at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, in the Lawndale City Hall Council Chambers. It is now almost midnight, and rather 9:22. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
And happy Valentine's Day to all you ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, you too.
Same to you.
Okay.
Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks. Good night.